Good evening. Like I said, I am Chief J.P. Bearman, White Summit Police Department. I want to provide you just another brief update of kind of what's happened since the last time we spoke. I want to reiterate that there is no ongoing threat, that the suspect has been eliminated. At approximately 10:50 this morning, a gunman entered the West Freeway Church of Christ in White Settlement, Texas, during the church service. Preliminary reports said that he entered the church and sat down with parishioners. He got up from that position, pulled out a shotgun, and fired it at a parishioner. That parishioner is deceased. There was a security team inside the church, and they eliminated the threat. Tragically, like I said, there are 2 people that were shot, and they died at a local hospital. As we stated, the suspect is deceased. The threat was stopped thanks to the quick and heroic actions of those safety members inside the church. I want to ask again for your prayers and support for everybody at the church, the parishioners, and those involved in this tragedy. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Lieutenant Dan Patrick.
Thank you, Chief. All of our hearts are heavy. We ask for prayers for every one of these parishioners today who witnessed this. Our prayers to the pastor. I spoke to the governor who is out of state today earlier. He's fully informed, and we are pledging our total commitment to the church, to law enforcement here. Whatever they need, we'll put all of our state resources here for this community. We had a church shooting, as you know, a few years ago in Sutherland Springs, and out of that, we passed 2 laws this past 2 sessions. In December of 2017, I'd asked the Attorney General for an opinion of could you carry a weapon if you had a concealed permit in a church. We believed you could, but we wanted the Attorney General's opinion. And we turned that into a law, Senate Bill 635, that was signed into law by Governor Abbott this past session, that made sure, unless a church posted a sign, that you could carry a concealed carry. Secondly, we passed a law in 2017. It was Senate Bill 2065, and that law removed all the fees that private institutions charge or are charged when they form their own security force. This church, and that passed into law, this church had its own security team. They were well-trained. The heroism today is unparalleled. This team responded quickly, and within 6 seconds, the shooting was over. 2 of the parishioners who were volunteers on the security force drew their weapons and took out the killer immediately, saving untold number of lives. Had the shooter been able to indiscriminately start firing into the parishioners sitting there in front of him, or at the pastor or whomever, we would have had many more lives lost today and many more serious injuries. So our hearts are so heavy, and we pray for these families, and our thoughts are for the victims and their families and for these parishioners in this community. But we have to lift up real heroes today. We were talking before we came out here about first responders. And first responders, thank God for the men and women who are there for all of us. But the immediate responder is the most important, the citizen responder. Because even though the chief's brave officers were here in less than a minute, less than 2 minutes, they responded immediately. By the time they got here, the shooting was over. And that always happens. At over 50% of shootings, our first responders, it's usually over when they get there, no matter how hard they try. So it's important. This is going to be something that is studied and watched by law enforcement and private citizens and churches or anyone who else who trains up their own security to see how lives can be saved. So we're thankful. We're thankful for the heroes, two sadly, who died today. With that, I want to turn this over to Colonel Steve McCrawl of our Department of Public Safety to give you further details. Steve?
Thank you, Governor. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Regional Director Jeff Williams for any questions you might have regarding this. I do want to say and commend the Chief of Police and his men and women. Clearly, they're heroic, as the Governor said, and no question about it, as well as all the law enforcement community came together. But the church community, those that responded, were clearly the heroes today. And for questions regarding that we can't answer, I'm going to go ahead and have our Regional Director answer those.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Williams. Thank you again for coming. I want to echo the comments that have already been made here tonight. It cannot be overstated how important it is that everyone recognize what took place here today. The citizens who were inside that church undoubtedly saved 242 other parishioners. And that might get swept aside in this whole conversation about active shooter response, and God knows law enforcement has done a whole bunch of work to make our response better. We needed to do that, but we're starting to find out that, as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, over half of these are over before we get there. And I want to commend the Chief and his department. Their response was, I mean, it's never going to get faster than that. It was miraculous. And so the true heroes in this are the people who were sitting in those pews today and responded, the immediate responders that saved their fellow citizens. And I just can't overstate how critical that is. It's for everyone to recognize it is truly heroic. And the citizens of this community have a lot to be proud of for their response. So with that, I'll take any questions. I might not be able to answer all of them for you.
Can you clarify one thing? The two people who returned fire, were they hired security detail? Were they members of the church, or were they both?
They're members of the church and part of the security team of the church, but not hired.
Were they licensed other than
yeah.
licensed to carry? Were they licensed security? Did they go through any kind of training?
I'm not going to get into all that specifics yet. To be honest with you, I don't have all the specific details of it, and it'd be premature for me to say. So.
Was it a targeted sort of attack? Was it random, or was he targeting this person?
We still haven't figured out the ideology or the motivation behind it, so we're not sure.
Clarify, both victims who were shot, the innocent people, both of them died?
Correct, yes.
Because one had suffered a cardiac arrest, was resuscitated.
Both have passed, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Can you give more details on the actual shooter as much as you can release at this point?
We've not made notification of all the family members yet, so we're not going to be releasing any details about the people that are involved.
And any idea on motive at this point?
I'll defer to Special Agent in Charge Matt DeSarno from the FBI to address the motive. We're working this together, and I'll let him answer that. So, Matt?
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Matt DeSarno. I'm the SAC of FBI Dallas. So the FBI is working collaboratively with DPS, with White Settlement Police, with Fort Worth Police in a large collective effort, investigative effort, to identify motive, to determine whether or not the shooter had an ideology that was driving him. At this point, it is an ongoing investigation. We are working diligently to get to the bottom of motive on this. We have agents throughout the area and beyond interviewing associates and working on trying to get to the bottom of the shooter's motive.
Why did you mention ideology at this point?
I said part of our investigation is to determine if there was any ideology.
Do we know any of the deceased people's names yet?
We do know the deceased names, so we are not releasing those at this time.
So MedStar originally reported that the shooter had died, but that's not the case. He's in critical condition.
The shooter is deceased, and also we also not releasing his identity at this time as well.
Can you tell us if the shooter is from the area?
The shooter was in the area today. Clearly, has been in the area. From what we can gather in the investigation, he's relatively transient, but has roots to this area. Yes.
Does he know anybody in the church? Type of disguise, or some people are saying?
So that's those are investigative details that we're not ready to disclose. Yeah.
Had the church ever seen him before or knew him?
Again, those are ongoing investigative details that we're not going to discuss.
You said that he was transient, so some people had mentioned that he looks homeless. What can you say to that?
So again, those are ongoing investigative details that we don't want to talk about in more detail.
So he was sitting attending the service before the fire broke out?
That's correct, yes.
Do you know if he said anything before he started shooting?
I can't hear that, I'm sorry.
Do you know if he said anything before he started shooting?
Again, these are ongoing investigative details that we're not going to discuss.
There was some sort of writing that parishioners found odd on the back of whatever he was wearing, like a jacket or something. What was on the back of his jacket?
Yeah, again, those are details we're not ready
Has
to
the
discuss.
FBI looked at the video from the live stream at all?
The FBI is working on is conducting a multi-phased investigation, looking at all available video, media, everything we can get our hands on. We're working on. Yes.
Some of the parishioners had said that they thought that he was acting suspicious. Did the security team have their eyes on this individual prior to the shooting?
Again, those are investigative details that we're not ready to discuss.
Was the shooter ever on anyone's watch? You guys ever have him on a watch list or notified that he was on a watch list?
So the shooter has had multiple contacts with law enforcement in the past, but he was not on any kind of a watch list like that. No.
For what kind of contact?
He's been arrested in the past.
For what?
Yeah, multiple incidents in different municipalities. But I'm not gonna go to the details.
Was
I
there
mean,
history of mental illness?
I don't know that.
The church had metal detectors, anything walking in. Obviously, he had his weapon hidden inside his.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not gonna talk about that. Who's next, Pastor? Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. How old is the shooter? Can you say his age?
But no, we're not going to discuss it.
Everybody's an adult though that was killed today?
Yes. Yes. Ready for Pastor? Yep.
I'd like to take a minute to, before he comes up here, he's a pretty humble guy, but I want to introduce you to the senior pastor of this church, Britt Farmer. Through his leadership and his communication and preparation with his parishioners, he survived a pretty horrendous event today, and I'm just overwhelmed at his humility. And as we were inside talking earlier today, you can tell this is a man of character, and I'm honored to be here today with you, sir. If we can come on up.
My name is Britt Farmer. I'm the senior minister at the West Freeway Church of Christ. First off, I want to say that I am extremely thankful to Lieutenant Governor and the Governor, Governor Patrick and Governor Abbott, and their rapid response to this. To the law enforcement agencies that have been here, we couldn't have asked for more professional, seamless interviews and work with our congregation and our people, and the kindness that was shown to them by law enforcement. We lost two great men today, but it could have been a lot worse. And I'm thankful that our government has allowed us the opportunity to protect ourselves. We have a congregation here of open-hearted people. We help people. We're here to help people. And to have something like this happen destroys my heart. And when I say destroys it because there is evil in this world. Today is one sermon I'll never preach. It'll go away. It was called Leaving a Legacy. And two men today left a legacy. But a congregation is going to build on that legacy. We'll have a church-wide meeting tomorrow night because we did not get to have our service this morning. We will be meeting in our building at 6 p.m. Those that want to be here at 8 o'clock, I'm going to make a blanket statement for you, the media, and for the public. And right now I'd like to say to all those that are watching, thank you for your prayers. Please continue to pray for the West Freeway Church family. We like to say we're a place you and your family can call home. Today our home was invaded by evil. The sad thing is it happens all the time as far as evil's concerned. But I know two men right now that are better off than any of us are. And I hope and I pray that not only will we survive this, I know we will, but that in some way we might be a beacon to those who don't know what to do. Because today we proved that not only can we be God-loving, God-fearing people, but we can protect each other as well. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. There won't be any more press conferences. The latest statements on this will be released by press release. So this concludes our conferences for the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for staying out here tonight. Thank you.